reactions now from Beijing. Beijing viewers has urged Australia to prudently handle the arrests of the two Chinese nationals on charges of a foreign interference after they were accused of spying on a Buddhist group at the behest of a Chinese police. That's a breaking news that we are coming up with. China has urged Australia to handle the case prudently and properly, and to safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese citizens, as per the Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian. He was making that statement during a news conference, denying knowledge of the specific details of the case. After Canberra arrests two Chinese nationals, now Beijing is warning to handle the case with prudence. Viewers, with that, we are now going to move on. Now, riot police have fired tear gas and water cannon at protesters throwing Molotov cocktails and flares during a demonstration Tuesday night in central Tirana. This is news from Albania, where thousands of opposition supporters were demanding the resignation of Albania's government. The Albanian police has said that 16 protesters were treated in the hospital for burn and other injuries, as 13 protesters were arrested. Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama's government has come under fire over corruption allegations involving Deputy Prime Minister Belinda Baluku, but Rama has resisted calls to dismiss her. There have been growing demands that lawmakers lift Baluku's immunity from prosecution, which can only be done in a parliamentary vote. All right, Collins continues to stay with us here. Collins, charges of corruption on the Albanian government are rather high. We are seeing the protests and demonstrators there. And on top of that, the US is working with Albania over its nuclear program. How do you view these parallel developments?
Well, the political situation in Albania has been expected. We've seen how structural and systemic issues have been prevalent in terms of whether allegations of corruption or governance issues, and the rising public dissatisfaction and sentiments of the people in terms of the frustration and distrust and mistrust of the government. And of course, also the disputes over electoral sanctity, and there's this little to none of this political cohesion between the ruling and the opposition blocs, where political polarization still remains high. And we have to remember that it's still the candidate country for the EU, and violence in the capital will of course damage the sentiments, the reputation, the trust, and also raises concerns about the standards of and the efforts of maintaining rule of law. So of course we've seen how important this country has been in terms of the larger equation between the EU and of course Europe, as opposed to the involvement and support system from the US, as well as the potentially new involvement from Russia, which will see which will use this as a potential new opening and pretext for further tools and efforts to amplify further narratives and undermining the overall integrity and cohesion of Europe and EU as a whole. And of course, the Balkans have been have gone through different crises before in the past, and the overall Euro-Atlantic cohesion in terms of the importance of Albania to the overall foreign policy strategy of the US, especially under the Trump administration, with regards to the war in Ukraine, also has been gaining in terms of strategic importance. And this is certainly being watched closely by both sides, and it remains to be seen. But I foresee that they will be strongly involved and will be invested in this, in ensuring that stability will still prevail, and that early actions are taken to prevent any further escalations, which will have the risk of further risk and disarray down the road in the next